Welcome to the show. It's deep with a twist. We're laughing through the scriptures where humor coexists. Cultural, come on and take a seat. It's faithful and it's fun wherever it meets feet. Dive into the stories. Hear the podcast call. It's Mormon stuff with a smile in the cultural hall.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall, and well, we've been talking about it for a little bit, but we are going to meet some new co-hosts of the Cultural Hall. I should actually probably say, let me not overpromise, potential new co-hosts of the Cultural Hall, because sometimes people, come out of the woodwork and go, not this person. I would like to welcome in Molly Ashton. Good day to you, Molly. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you, Richie?
I'm fantastic. I want to know. I actually would want to ask for forgiveness for what I just did. I hate when people do what I just did. Ask how you're doing. Great. Everyone's always good. No one's ever going to be like, you know what, real terrible. Let's talk about it here on the show. Molly, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you come to find the Cultural Hall? Why did you think that this would be a good idea? All of that.
So I found you because my sister is one of your co-hosts, Megan the Mitchell. And
I've heard of her.
Yeah, you've maybe heard of her a bit. And she turned me on to your podcast, and I love it so much. I listen every week. I love the articles of news. It really is my favorite. I'm kind of a little bit of a news junkie, but not like deep news. I like surface level news, pop culture, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I love it. And I think I messaged you last week. I'm like, where's the articles of news? It's been a while. You're like, I'm on vacation.
Yeah,
like,
I was busy seeing the world. Give me a break. Give me a minute. Can't I go on vacation? You go on vacation. Why don't I get to?
That is true. Yep. We'll give you a chance to vacation a bit. That's okay. So when my sister Megan told me she was taking a little break, I was like, well, if he needs a fill-in, I could step in for a minute. I don't have a podcast. I don't have any desire to be famous or anything, but I like to talk.
Yeah. Well, and I really like that you like that kind of news. Some of the stuff that I can't get super into, that I'm aware of, that I know that we need to talk about, that I get into enough to be able to discuss. But when I hear kind of that the pop culture news, I think of like Real Housewives and Your Secret Lives and some of that. And I know that we've got some of that in the news today. So I'm excited to be able to talk to you about that. Where in this great country do you live?
I live outside of Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
So just south of you.
By choice or by force?
I often wonder why I'm here, honestly. I guess by choice. I don't know. My husband went to grad school here, and then we stayed. He got a job here, and we've been here for 22 years. So I guess I don't know, by choice and force now. I don't know.
Yeah. Arizona State, is that what would be the school, grad school?
No, he actually went to Thunderbird, the American Graduate School of International Business, which I think is affiliated with ASU now, but it wasn't back then.
I loved the way that you just corrected that. No, actually, it's Thunderbird. It's the International School of Business affiliate. So not Arizona State. Let's dial that back a little bit. Is that how that town is divided? Sorry, I don't even know.
So we are big BYU fans, and there's a huge rivalry. Well, not rivalry, a game happening soon between BYU and ASU. And I'm definitely not a big ASU fan. So
okay. Jeez.
It's fine. I have friends.
They try and give you a place to park near the campus if you're a part of Institute for just $5 and you reject it. You say, no, forget it. I'll pay full price. I don't want to be a Sun Devil fan. Forget it.
Totally.
Now, sometimes I know within like home families, the word I can't think of isn't coming to me right now, but like within your family of origin is the word I was looking for. There's how many girls are there? There's you and Megan and
we have one other sister. So there's three of us, and I'm in the middle.
Okay. So don't mess this up, or I'm going to make that person the co-host.
Exactly. You've got one more shot.
And then do you have that fun like sisterly rivalry of like, well, you have 6 kids, I'm going to have 10 kids. And then like you guys all get together and it's like, oh my gosh, are those all from just 3 people?
No, we definitely think Megan is crazy having the 6 kids. I mean, she definitely outplayed us. My other sister and I each have 4 kids, and we are really good with that number.
Yeah, four is good. And where are you older? You're the older sister, yes?
I'm the middle, so I'm
Middle,
older than
that's right.
Megan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we have one older sister.
Okay. Yeah.
We're all M's.
Yeah, that's a fun Mormon thing. And then the other thing is your kids, are they out in the world? Are they able to make choices that are lasting choices, or are they still all within the walls of your home?
Currently, we're about half and half. I have my oldest son is 21. He's in Idaho at BYU, Idaho.
Okay.
And then I have an 18-year-old who is a nanny in Germany right now.
Okay.
And yeah, it's awesome.
That's
it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a 16-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. But currently, everyone is gone. The 2 high schoolers are both on separate school trips. So for about 10 hours today, my husband and I are empty nesters until one of them returns.
And you're talking to me?
I know. Imagine that, right? My husband's in bed.
Okay. I am honored for that. Geez, 10 hours without kids, and you're using part of that time with me. Thank you.
Honored, of course.
All right. Well, and then you said the articles of news are kind of your favorite thing. Do you have a favorite interview episode, or do you go interview, bloop, bloop, where's my articles of news?
Oh gosh. I've been listening to a lot of the interviews with like the Paralympians. Those have been great. Or Olympians. No, sorry, I don't remember. I have a bad memory sometimes, but I do listen to the interviews, not as much as the articles of news, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
I listened to one actually a while ago with someone who had been excommunicated from the church. And anyway, it was really interesting. I just listening to his story. I don't remember his name or anything, but it was interesting.
Yeah, Dave, I think, is probably who you're talking about. Dave, maybe I shouldn't say his last name. Dave. Let's just say Dave, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny to me because when I started to like look at how I would structure the cultural hall, like I used to do, part of an episode was articles of news, and then we would do the interview at the end, and people were like, just do the news. We don't care about the interviews. So then for a while, I just was like, no interviews. We're just doing news. And then people would be like, where are the interviews? And then I would lean interview heavy, and I don't know that I get it right, but I'm glad to be able to do it. I'm glad that you like listening to it. As you know from listening, you have to have a nickname, and I'm grateful because it's a tremendous amount of pressure to come up with nicknames. I'm grateful that yours was very easy and just out of the box. I was able to just do it. Do you know this already? Did your sister? Oh yeah.
No, I
okay.
didn't.
So your sister is Megan the Mitch Mitchell.
Right.
So very clearly you are Molly the Ash Ashton, and I love that that's just simple and easy, that it connects you guys just enough that it doesn't make any sense, because what's the Ash? I don't know. But Molly the Ash Ashton, nice and easy, already a nickname. I'm having a pleasant time. How are you feeling so far about all this?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
I love the nickname. It's great. Let's make sure to keep it Ash and not, ASS.
Well, I think that depends.
Maybe.
On you.
Yeah, true. I guess I better be good. I guess I better. Yeah. Anyway, I love it.
A lot of pressure to push back. Let's take a break. When we come back in the second half, we're going to do actual articles of news. BestDJinUtah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the cultural hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. BestDJinUtah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. BestDJinUtah.com.
Imagine running a small business today. It's challenging. Imaging and internet presence is an absolute must. Even with that, you're still a small star in a bright cyber universe. Now, imagine you have someone who understands how to get your site designed for your talents and then easily searched by potential clients. Imagine Lennon Design. Whether it's strictly a website or a whole package of logo creation, advertising media, and promotional materials, Lennon Design is your partner in business. They'll test the boundaries of their imagination to create something unique for you. When you need creative, affordable design, let it be Lennon Design. Call 801-699-3022 or visit LennonDesign.com.
Here in the second half of Articles of News, we do actual articles of news. Hit it, Peter.
You can't lose articles of news.
And away we go, just like Molly heard and everyone else heard in their head, but we edited in later. Peter Breinholt singing "You Can't Lose Articles of News." So, where are we going first? Molly, take me. What story? What's the hot story this week? What are we talking about?
The biggest story this week is the secret lives of Mormon wives. I mean, come on, what else is there, right?
I mean, a lot of things.
So we heard after the smashing success of season 1, we heard back in October there was a season 2 coming out of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And I had heard the rumor that it was coming out in the spring. Like I was thinking March.
Yep.
Well, they have just announced it's actually coming January 27th. So we're going to get a couple months earlier than I thought, which is super exciting. And do you want to know how many episodes they're coming out with?
Now, I know it's more than 8. So season one had 8 episodes, and I know that it left a lot of people going, wait, that's it? Especially in where we're usually, I'm going to say somewhere between 12 and 20 is where we're going for season 2.
Yeah, 20 episodes.
Okay.
Like, I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. When I watched the first season, I mean, I binge watched it all in 2 days, I think, which isn't actually normally my style. I hope this is more, they're released week by week. I don't know if they will be, but I'm super excited for that. Really interested in who's going to be on there. We ended the last season not knowing how Zach and Jen Affleck are going to be. There's been rumors that maybe they're not going to be on there. I will say I have someone on there that's my least favorite person.
Oh, tell me.
I will tell you. Her name is Whitney.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of hers at all. And she is coming back. And I think she will return as the villain because that's kind of what she was made out to be. So, they couldn't leave her out because then it would leave that whole storyline. But Richie, the most exciting news of all time on Sunday, I was in the Phoenix airport and I ran into a couple of these Mormon wives.
Okay.
And I was actually in Salt Lake over the weekend. And when I'm in Salt Lake, I'm always looking for the Real Housewives or the Secret Mormon Wives, anyone, the LDS pseudo celebrities. I never see any. So I land in Arizona. I'm with a friend and my friend goes, Taylor. And I turn around and it is Taylor Frankie Paul. And also Michaela was with her. And then someone else that I didn't know, but I recognized her from the Mom Talks. And we went up and chatted with them and they took a picture with us. And my daughter was so excited. It was so fun.
Now you're going to have to send me that picture because maybe we'll make that picture the picture for this episode. But let me ask you this because it's a house divided as far as this goes because there are a lot of for the sake of this conversation, we'll call them Mormon women who are like, these women don't represent me. I'm not like this. There couldn't be anything further from the truth than these women that are on the screen, almost to the point that they sort of despise it. You are clearly not that. Tell me what, tell me, like, do you understand that? Or is that people just taking things too serious? Let's dive into that a little bit.
To be honest, I feel like it's people taking things too seriously. I think like this is fun. I mean, and I think most people who are not of our faith who know me or probably know you understand that that's not the normal depiction of the normal LDS wife. And so it's a little bit more sensationalized and it's more for entertainment purposes. And to be completely honest, I was leery. The church came out with a statement shortly before the first season that they were kind of, I don't know, discouraging people from it. I don't know. They didn't say don't watch this thing, but just be careful. And I remember thinking like, I hope it's not disparaging or, shooting down our religion and making fun of it or anything. And honestly, I feel like while they don't follow all of the more strict standardized rules that I personally follow, I don't feel like they were making fun of our faith or anything like that. They just live it differently than I do. And I think we're all in our own place and we're going to do what we feel is right. And they definitely are not like me. I'm very different from them, but it's almost a way to just kind of go, Yeah, this is a crazy life they're leading. And obviously, probably 80% of it is staged and fake for TV.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's to me, it was not, if I ever saw them actually tearing down the religion, I might feel a little differently. But I kind of am fascinated by things like that in general, like Orthodox Jews. There is this Orthodox Jew, or gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but My Unorthodox Life, where it was
Yeah.
clearly not.
Was that on Hulu or Netflix? But we watched that one as well, and you're just
Yeah.
in awe of what like the lifestyle would be like. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I know looking at it from my perspective, that is not the normal lifestyle of an Orthodox Jew or even someone who's barely stepped out of that. So I think it's just sometimes we like to lose ourselves in things that aren't reality. And so while it's reality TV, it's not my reality. And it's kind of fun to watch. And truly meeting them in person, they were just as sweet as can be.
Hmm.
So kind. And so I was like, why are they here? Well, it turns out they were here for a pickleball tournament that someone was hosting.
Mm.
And to be honest, they were at a tournament that was 5 minutes from my business that I run and 10 minutes from my house. And so the fact that I wasn't even in town and we could have crossed paths in, normal life, that was kind of crazy. So it was really fun to run into them in the airport.
Well, now
So.
wait a minute. You didn't even say a single thing about the business that you run in the opening part of getting to know you. Take me to that for a second.
So if you've heard of Crumble Cookies, I'm
I've heard of
sure
it.
you have, many of your listeners have. My husband and I own 3 franchises of Crumble Cookies. So
Well, there you go.
yeah, it's super fun. And in fact, the one that they were most recently by, it was like the 26th Crumble that opened, and there's now 1,100. So we've been doing this for about 6 years.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite cookie?
Yeah, I mean, I do. It's kind of boring. I love our ultimate peanut butter cookie. It's a peanut butter cookie stuffed with peanut butter, and I feel like I'm pretty much eating a healthy snack because it's full of protein when I
Mm.
eat it. So,
Yeah, that's what I would tell myself.
yeah. Anyway, I
uh,
love it.
Good for you. I could never run a cookie shop.
Yeah.
You look
Why is
like you
that?
have because you look like you have your life in check. I have this thing called no self-control, so I guess I don't have this thing. I would just be like, oh, this one's like, it would be the absolute eat myself to death within 365 days if I owned a cookie shop.
Yeah. It's been hard. It's hard. And my kids, we all struggle with wanting to eat the cookies all the time, even 6 years later, which is
Mhm.
actually the greatest part about it is we still love the product.
Mhm.
I mean, you could get sick of it, but I'm not sick of it. But what I do is I just try to take a little bite once in a while, and that kind of gets me my fill, I guess. But fun.
The joke that I have to make is, and I wish that they would do it here in Salt Lake. It's coming. The trend hasn't happened yet, but next to you have your So Delicious and you have your crumbles. I'm gonna start doing pop-up insulin shots. Just like a little place that people can come if they forgot their pod or they just need a little bit extra because they went in. I
Yeah.
haven't quite figured out the business model. That's why it hasn't been started yet. But little insulin places people can come get their insulin.
That's a solid idea. It would actually be helpful. I mean, honestly, if people knew they could get their insulin, then they wouldn't
Mhm.
be so leery of eating the cookies, I
Right,
guess. Right.
right. And what I want to do is help people resist the temptation to have self-control. I want them to just give in to the dark side and be able to just eat and eat or drink and drink pop-up insulin shots. Well,
Love it.
I'll figure
All
it
of
out.
that. Let me know.
I haven't even come up with a good name for it yet, which is the most disappointing thing. Contact at theculturehall.com if people want to send great names for an insulin pop-up shop. So were you able to get any were you able to get them to spill the tea? Did they tell you anything that you didn't? No, tight-lipped, huh?
No. I mean, there was one girl that I didn't recognize, and I did research and found out her name is Miranda, and she was not originally on the original season, the first season. There's
Mhm.
rumors she'll be on the second season, and she was super nice. I mean, they were so nice to just chat with us. And I was wearing a really embarrassing green sweatsuit, which I normally tend to travel looking a little cuter.
Mhm.
So that was disappointing for myself that I was in this hideous green sweatsuit. But that photograph is going to live in infamy
Yeah.
forever. And here I
Yes,
am.
it will.
Embarrassing, but
Well, you
Anyway.
learned your lesson.
Oh, yes, I did.
You learned that you'll never do that again. How
No, never.
dare you? You will never. Um, well, interesting. I know that kind of along with it, there are also people that are posing that this person named Aspen. Have you seen this? That there's a woman named Aspen that might be joining us in the second season as well. From what little I could gather, she might be a therapist or work
Oh,
in the mental health space a little bit. She is Aspen, Aspyn, so you know she's originally based in Utah, at least at some point.
for
Um,
sure.
so I'm curious to see how that goes. And then the dad talk, I guess we could do a little bit about that story within this. I hate this. This is the thing here. So we do this. We create these celebrities. So it's all of our own fault, right? And I use celebrities with sort of air quotes. But when we have like because I would call like a reality star, like a B or C level celebrity, right? They're not out, making the $1 billion movie project this weekend, but their lives are interesting, as you indicate, and I have no sort of judgment. It's like, okay, let me in. That's some sort of sacrifice on their end to be like, hey, I'm going to allow these people to follow my life. So that's a level of sacrifice. So a celebrity, fine, that's great, a B or C level. But then when we take their husbands, the ones that aren't interesting necessarily, except that they are, promised for as long as they can hold on to the people that are on the show, and they create a thing called dad talk. I'm just like, I can't do this. It's the worst.
So I'm going to be honest with you. That's a little bit painful for me too. It's like, what? No, I don't know. And I'm actually not super into TikTok myself. Like I didn't know the mom talk stuff until my friend shared it with me. I think it's a little weird that the men are hopping in on the bandwagon, and it's weird. I don't know. And I think they just started the dad talk a couple of weeks ago, so it's just in its infancy, and we'll see how it goes. I definitely see, you definitely see. Okay, I'm gonna like sidetrack a little bit. There's
Please.
these LDS women influencers, and we'll call these mom talkers influencers for lack of a better term. And oftentimes you start seeing their husbands kind of riding their coattails a little bit. And there's others that I won't go into now that I follow on Instagram or whatever. And you've got these husbands leading these really fancy lives that their wives are funding and supporting through their influencing. And that's interesting because usually they're kind of hanging out in the background. So for these husbands to kind of be putting themselves out there in dad talk, I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't know. I don't think it'll be as exciting to watch, but you never know.
Well, of course not. Of course not, because it really is like, oh, they tried this, so we're going to try and do something like this. It's not an original thought, and it's not organic. It's far too forced. It's like now we're going to do
Yeah.
You've brought up an interesting thing with the like the mom talkers or the female influencers that are members of the church. It also is sort of an interesting thing, the way that it puts what is traditionally within our culture or our church culture or whatever, where the man is the breadwinner and the women, right? It flips it completely on its head, and it's fascinating for me to see the different ways that gentlemen will engage it, right? Some, I don't want to be a part of the anything. I'm going to just take care of the kids, and that way you can do that thing. And I see that plenty. There's the ones that are begrudging, and that they love every bit of it, where they're like, no, I couldn't. Okay, I will,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're a part of it. Listen, if my wife for some reason became some sort of influencer, stop working that day. I'm done. Even if she's not making any money, she's like, I want in on this. I'm like, great. Do it.
Yeah.
I got you. Tell me what you need, and I'm not working ever again. So
Yep.
there might be something to it. There might be something to it. But nothing to dad talk as far as that goes. All it is like, why wasn't this guy there? You know that the Afflecks are not going to be a part of the second season. You've got to know this.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've read both accounts. I've read that they are, I've read that they're not. So I don't know, because Zach Affleck, he definitely was more against it than the other husbands. And he was, you could say, maybe a little more controlling of his wife and trying to keep, of all of them, they seem to be the most traditional LDS, so to speak, where they seem to try to follow the teachings and the rules. And I think it could be interesting. I've read rumors that they're coming back or they'll make appearances, but we'll see.
Yeah. The thing that I found interesting, and sorry everyone, this is what we're doing with Molly the Ash Ashton. We're talking about these kind of things. The interesting thing for me about it, it was yes, far more of like our kind of standard culture. But what I didn't like about it is that I saw some of myself maybe in it, and I went, "Ooh, I hate this part of
Yeah.
this." Right?
Yeah.
From maybe like the, oh well, that's not all right, but this is all right because he had a huge deal with his wife going to Chippendales. Okay, I might, my wife and I, we talked about it. Would I have an issue? I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't love it
Yeah.
if she was there oiling guys up so much.
Yeah.
But that he's like, and I'm gonna go gamble, and I've got no problem with it. I'm like, that is our culture. That might just be
Right.
human behavior, but that is our culture on full display. I've got a
Yeah.
huge issue with this thing, but not this thing because
Not
it's
this
my
thing.
thing, not your thing. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, there's a bit of a double standard for sure.
sure, sure.
And that'll be interesting to see that play out in season 2.
With your husband, did he watch it or is he like, I hate this so bad?
He is the furthest thing from ever wanting to watch any of these shows. So he would walk in and out and he would roll his eyes. He's
Mm.
like, "You're so weird." But what was funny, I have to tell you, at the airport, he had gone ahead. I was waiting for my daughter in the bathroom and he texted me and he said, "Hey, I think I saw 2 more of the Mormon Wives. They're both in cowboy hats." And so he was, I don't know, 100 yards ahead of me. And so I look up and sure enough, he recognized 2 of them and they came
Okay.
walking by. So I was actually super impressed that he
Yeah.
recognize that. But no, he thinks I'm so funny for watching those shows. He thinks they're so dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they are entertainment. And if we can just remember that they are entertainment purposes, that we're not trying to emulate them, that's the thing that has been so crazy to me. Um, and you see this like with it's great for business for Crumble, right? For
Oh yeah.
things like these soda shops and like the hair and makeup. I've seen and read countless articles about people just being crazy for the big wavy curls like the secret lives women have and the mugs and where did they get the clothes and all of that stuff. Do you find yourself as you drink from a pink Stanley cup as we've chatted falling into any of that, or are you able to kind of
So I have to tell you, I owned a Stanley before I ever saw an influencer post about it about 6 years ago. So I feel like I actually started that trend
you did?
without
Yes.
anyone knowing me. But
Yes.
and I definitely like my dirty diet sodas and I have my syrups on the counter that I can make it with. But I do, there is a little bit of that unhealthiness and I see it in my children, in my teenage girls who want to buy all the expensive face products and the facial cleansers and all of that. And I think that can get a little bit dangerous and we have to keep ourselves in check and we have to understand what we really need and want. And so funny, my husband and I talk about, we go to the dermatologist and they ask us what we wash our face with. And I literally say water. And the dermatologist just laughs because you've got the teenagers who have like a 7-step process of washing their face. And my dermatologist said, it's all from watching these influencers and
Yeah.
they're just talking products at that point, and she
Mhm.
said, you're much better just having water with a little mild soap or whatever. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that and in addition, teenagers see these women or whomever on YouTube or on social media becoming famous and making money.
Right.
And they think, well, I can make a YouTube channel and I can be on TikTok and have all of that. And the reality is that's not going to happen for most of us. So I think we do have to be really careful and make sure that we're not emulating that too much and trying to live up to those standards. But they can keep buying the cookies. I mean, I'm happy to have people see the cookies all over social media. Keep coming. I mean, we had a partnership with Kylie Jenner a few months ago that was crazy. I mean, our sales went crazy. Olivia Rodrigo, we've had really great partnerships. So I'll just let them keep coming. That
Yeah.
supports my life. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. By the way, the thing with the Stanley Cup and you having it before everyone else and then influencing everyone to have one, they have a
yeah.
term for that.
Oh, what
You
is
are
it?
a non-fluencer.
Oh, I love it. I am a non-fluencer. I
Yes.
love that. I
Yep.
am going to live with that. That will be my mantra. The
Yep.
non.
Find that in my bio on my socials. I'm a non-fluencer. All right, let's get to some other stories as well. This also, I guess, kind of reality TV article about why are so many Dancing with the Stars people Mormon? And they are. There are a lot of dancing Mormons. Do you have
Yeah.
any sort of idea as to why you think so many of those people are?
It's interesting because obviously I've noticed that. I used to watch Dancing with the Stars, and so you think you can dance like all the time. And I went to BYU about 25 years ago, and I remember I had never seen the dancing industry and what was out there, but so many of my friends were like ballroom dancers. I mean, they just start dancing in the hallways, and I'm like, what is this? Because I grew up in Oregon, and I didn't know anyone who did ballroom dancing there. So as I've learned about it, and I had a really good friend I worked with, and he was a ballroom dancer for BYU. Anyhow, it seems that there's just this, the Utah culture, the LDS culture, where we really have this clean lifestyle where, we're not the drinking and drugs and all of that. And so we're trying to find really wholesome activities to be involved in. And I think in Utah, parents really try to make sure their children were involved in those types of wholesome activities. And dance just seemed to be one that was really popular and always has been there. And I remember Derek and Julianne Hough being like kind of the first big ones on Dancing with the Stars that were these LDS siblings that went to this dance studio. And then since then, they've subsequently, I believe, year after year, had just Mormon after Mormon that have been on there. And it's kind of fascinating. And actually, it's super cool to be able to see people of our faith living these lives of kind of where the mainstream audience is seeing them and seeing that Mormons aren't weird. They're normal. They can dance. They can wear these outfits and shake their booty, and it's okay. It's not like we're all dressed from head to toe and whatever. But I think it's an interesting phenomenon, and I think that we'll continue to see those dancers coming out of Utah because it has been such a prevalent part of that Utah culture, and just having those activities that are wholesome and developing talents. That's one thing that we learn so much within our religion, is that if you have a talent for something, don't hide it under a bushel, develop it and work at it and bless the lives of others. And I think it's really awesome.
I think it's also partially too that, like, once you sort of get connected to how people are coming into the show, you sort of have these funnels, right? Like I can't remember the name of the dance like company that's in Utah County, but it's like Dance Sport or Centerpoint or something like that, right? And so they're connected with that particular place, and so I'm sure that year after year they're going, who do you have that's coming up through the ranks that could be the next person that could be on the show? So there's that sort of connection that way. And then also you have a lot of these people, speaking to your point, who early on developed their talent, but then they've gone on or they wanted to do different things. And then they're coming back to where they taught, and maybe they're going back and teaching there because that fits their lifestyle more. And so then they're able to be an influence on people that way. And then they want to come up through it and be like, I want to be like you, Derek and Julianne. I also think I can't get Kevin Bacon's voice out of my head, where in Lehi, Utah, he says, and it's a time to dance. And I just think that's, I'm not sure that it's actually related at all, but I'm going to take it that it is Kevin Bacon, the Utah influence, that's why there's so many Mormons on Dancing with the Stars, even though Kevin Bacon.
It's super cool. Well, and I just have to note one thing. Whitney Carson, who's one of the pros on Dancing with the Stars, I love it. She has two little boys. She moves them out with her they live in Florida, but they move out to California to film. And it's like so cool to see this mom who is out there able to do this amazing thing and influence people. And then at night she's with her little boys and they're there. I just think it's really, really cool.
Sidebar, I was listening to a podcast yesterday about parenting. No, I'm not dropping any bombshells, guys. We don't have a secret that's coming. I just like to learn things. And one of the things that it talked about is when we look back on like the 50s and 60s, that is the 1950s and 60s, and go, what were those parents like? And it was mom that was home and she wore the dress, trad wife, which is actually where we're going to take the news story next, but not yet. That they would be home and they'd be there for their kids when they'd come home from school, and they would be, all the things. And we think, oh man, I bet that those women were with their kids 100% of the time. And what this podcast was talking about is how our perception has jaded what we actually do, because these women were women that were part of social clubs. They would be, hosting parties at their home where the kids were not allowed. and all these things. And so what this particular like author, or I guess host of this thing, was saying is we need to ignore our kids, that we've given our kids too much of our attention, and that we need to have a life. And so, yeah, having a mom being able to say, hey, kids, mom's a dancer. I also love being a mom, but right now we're going to move from here to there, and I'm going to go do this, and being able to do it. It is what I think it should be. If we make our kids our entire life, guess what? They're not going to be your entire life. And at some point there's a reckoning coming. You can be a great parent, and then you go, and now go be a great individual, and I'll be here on Thanksgiving.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of that. I've done a really good job of ignoring my kids a lot over the years and teaching them to be independent. It's funny to think of now, but raising kids for the last 21 years, I love that all four of them are so independent. I mean, my husband and I can leave town for a week and leave our couple of kids home, and they're great. They're at church 10 minutes early. They're at school on time. They're at work. They're doing everything without even us reminding them. You know what I mean? And so I think there is such value in that, in really like letting go and cutting the apron strings and letting them fail and figure things out and that sort of thing. So it's interesting.
Was that hard for you?
No,
it wasn't.
No. I always wanted to be a mom and a stay-at-home mom, kind of, but within a couple of years, I needed to work as well. So I was doing work from home jobs, and pretty much from the time my youngest, who's 14, from the time she was born, I've worked full time, all by choice, because I needed that escape, I think. And I never had to put them in childcare, though. I was able to work around their schedules, and I think because of that, it's really helped them to grow up to be really independent. My 18-year-old, like I said, is a nanny in Germany. She decided on her own to graduate from high school a semester early last year. She researched it, found a family to go and live with, and she moved away to Germany. And she's been there for 9 months. And she's actually moving home in a couple of weeks because she's kind of ready to move on with life, get to college, that sort of thing. But she's traveled all over Europe on her own. She'll leave for the weekend, fly up to London. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's super.
Yeah, I hear that and I go, maybe I need to be raised in your household, because I have so much fear around so many things. It's like, ignore me so that I can feel empowered to. That's great. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I always wonder, are the kids going to hold it against me someday? Are they going to be like, Mom, you weren't there?
Yes, they will.
Well, even to this day, we opened one of our crumbles, our first one. I think it was my son's 16th birthday. So he's like, you missed my 16th birthday. And then his 18th birthday, we were opening another store in another state. And he's like, you missed my 18th birthday. And I hope we've made up for it. We do a lot of nice things for him, but he'll be 40 someday and he'll be crying and telling me I've ruined his life, or I don't know.
I think the saying goes, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. So just remember that it will always be your fault.
Yeah, always. It's fine.
So enjoy the ride of it being your fault. Tradwife, let's talk about that a little bit. That, again, still, it just seems like it's so much in the news. We've got like the ballerina farm. They were at a business like conference this last week. Both she and he were speaking at this thing. First of all, it sounds like you're a lot more plugged in kind of on the Instagram thing. Do you look at that and you just go, what is going on, or good for them, or how do you engage it?
So when I first started following Ballerina Farm, it was several years ago, before Tradwives was a thing. I'm a non-influencer. I follow things before they were even big. I don't know. It's amazing, I guess. But anyway, I'm just kidding. But I was following her because I thought her life was fascinating. I'm like, she lives on a farm and she makes everything from scratch, and her kids are just in unmatching shoes and their clothes are dirty with mud. And like, this is an amazing thing that she's just embracing this natural life. Well, now it's 5 years later, she has millions of followers. She's been Miss USA America, whatever. She's been in pageants. Like, clearly this is part of her career and in them building this business, their Ballerina Farm business. But I still think, like, good for her. I mean, this is awesome. If she really finds joy and happiness in this, then I say go for it. Now, what I will say also is I'm very jealous of her ability to make amazing sourdough bread. I bought her sourdough starter. I bought all of her things. I can't tell you how much money I spent to get all of her sourdough things. And my 14-year-old daughter was so excited. We're going to make sourdough together. It has been a failure. I am clearly not a trad wife. I don't know what happened. My sourdough starter was going all over the counter for days. I mean, it just didn't work. And so I am jealous that I can't make the sourdough. I've got to try it again. But overall, I mean, you've got Ballerina Farm, who seems like to be living a very authentic life. I really do. I don't think any of it is fake. But then we have Nara Smith on the other side, who is this beautiful, her trad wife style is she's dressed to the nines in the beautiful clothes, and it's all very aesthetic. And her voice, I don't know if you've ever heard her, she's got this very calming voice. To me, watching her is more of just for the entertainment of it. It's like no one's actually making their own cereal like that. I mean, maybe you just like, let's have fun and try to make cereal. But hers, I think, is very much a staged, just entertainment sort of thing, where Ballerina Farm, I feel like that's their life. They live on a farm. They're taking care of hundreds of animals. They're making everything from scratch. It's pretty cool, honestly. It's not a life I would ever live. I don't want to. I would love to make sourdough. Beyond that, I don't need any of the rest of it.
Do you think so one of the articles that I sent you talks about how it's just it is, I don't know, for better language of it, like ruining. It's abusive. It's setting us back decades about how men and women's roles and all that. Is that just people not being able to go, guys, this is just a way people are making money? Or, and maybe where I fall a little bit, I think probably most people are like that, but I think that there are some, both men or women, that are like, this is the thing. This is the way that this should be. This is how my household will be run. And so help me, look, it's right here. You aren't being submissive. You need to, like the people that then kind of invoke some of those things.
Yeah, there's a lady here in Arizona who talks pretty openly about how she thinks the trad wife lifestyle is more damaging than like a pornography addiction. She's like, what it's doing to these women is way more damaging than anything else. And it's a horrible life to live. And she talks about how she lived this life of a trad wife, as for 24 years, married and in the LDS church. And she's now divorced and left the church because of how she felt. I really don't believe that's the norm. I don't think people are looking at it going, I'm going to live this submissive life or whatnot. I think maybe she, and nothing against her or what she experienced, and I know what she experienced, it was very hard for her. But she chose to live that life of being like the stay-at-home mom, the perfect, like, my house is not perfect. My house, I'm not cooking dinner every night. That was never a life I chose. Now, I went into my life thinking I was going to have kids and raise them, and I thought I'd be a stay-at-home mom. But when I found that not to be as fulfilling, I went out and had a career. And here I am. I mean, I am the main breadwinner for a family because of Crumble. Now, my husband and I are able to do it together, but I definitely have taught my children that you can kind of have everything. You can make dinner and you can be with your kids and you can go to all the soccer games, but you can also have a career. And I think it's important that we teach our children, that girls, as they grow up, they understand that they should be finding a career or something they can do, because living a life as a stay-at-home mom, trad wife, that's not super sustainable, and especially in this economy and whatnot. So I really feel like I felt in this article I read about this particular woman, I feel badly for what she experienced, but I don't think that is the norm. I think you're going to find that type of experience in many cultures and religions and whatnot. And, I have a niece who loves to make sourdough. I keep getting on this sourdough.
I know. Listen, let it go. You can't do it. It's all right. You're a cookie shop, not a sourdough shop. I can't make your cookies. It's okay. Let it go. You're a great person.
I know, but what I love about her is she's in school to be a nurse. She works part-time as a CNA. She makes her sourdough from scratch and delivers it to the ladies in her ward. She's able to, you can do that. You can have it all. You can have a career. You can have that fulfilling opportunity. She just got a dog. I mean, she's newly married. She's doing all these things, but doing it because she enjoys it and because she loves it. And I just think we need to encourage and live our lives to doing the things that bring us joy and bring us happiness. And if you find yourself in a situation where a man is causing you to be submissive, like, that's not okay. None of that is okay. And I don't believe Ballerina Farm or Hannah or Nara, I don't think either of them are living any kind of submissive life. I think this is something they've chosen. And I think that's great.
Yeah, there a tremendous amount of strength, I think, kind of making this actually a fairly deep conversation. Like, if you're not finding joy in the thing that you're doing, and I find myself falling victim to this a bunch, but like you can make a different choice. And I think sometimes we think, nope, this is the choice that I've made. I'm doing this. So I guess I better like it because
Yep.
this was the choice I made. And it really is the strength of people going, you know what? I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Great. Germany, I'm done. I'm coming back home. We're doing something else, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to be this profession. Now I'm not. I'm going to go and do something else. The people that are doing things because they feel like they have to, regardless of what that is, and I do think that applies to religious things. If you are doing it solely because you have to, congratulations, you have missed the point of what
Totally.
you are doing.
Totally. I 100% agree with you. I mean, I went to school to be a teacher. I was a teacher for a couple of years and I hated it, to be honest. But you know what? Here I am. I have consistently about 60 employees that work for me. So I'm utilizing those skills. I'm a teacher to them. I mean, I have so many employees that have come and go and they've come back and said, thank you for teaching me to work hard. Thank you for doing this and that. So I was able to take that, what I thought I was going to do for a living, and to pivot into something that brings me so much joy. I mean, making cookies, there's nothing better in the world. I'll be honest. It's really incredible. And just like you were saying, Richie, my husband was in a career. He worked in finance for 18 years. And as soon as we opened our cookie shop, he said, please, please let me come and work with you, and for you, because it brings me so much more joy. He loves talking to customers. He loves to see them happy. And he was able to leave his career after 18 years and do this with me. And it's been the greatest joy. But he kind of felt like he had to do that safe thing, the
Sure.
finance analyst, and you're working for a big corporation. But when it really came down to it, we have been able to change our lives by making a leap and doing something that just sounded fun and interesting. And I think that's what I've been able to teach my kids. Just like, oh, my daughter wants to go to Germany. I probably could have freaked out. In fact, it took me a minute, about 24 hours, to go, okay, can I allow her to move across the world with these strangers?
Mhm.
And I just thought, good for her. Go spread your wings and figure out what you like. And anyway, I just think it's awesome.
The interview process with your husband, leaving being a finance analyst and coming and trying to work for you. I know this isn't how it went, but I love the idea that you're like, you sit him down at one of your tables and you're going over his application. All right. It says here, finance analyst. How do you think that would lend into what you'll be doing here? And then you kind of flip it around. You're like, we actually don't have a place for you right now behind the counter, but maybe cleaning. We could put you in a position like that. And he's just like, yes, whatever. Please get me out. Just get me out.
How are your maintenance skills? Can you fix toilets? Can you, anyway, it's pretty awesome.
But he got the job. Good for him. Congratulations.
Got the job. Yeah. So far he's done pretty well. So it's good.
Let's go. Let's talk about the Germany Book of Mormon, just because we've been talking a bit about Germany. I don't know that we've ever talked this much about Germany in a Articles of News episode of the Cultural Hall ever. The Germany Book of Mormon experiment.
So this is so cool. And I'm actually so mad because my husband actually went to visit our daughter in Germany. And they were there at the time that this happened, but they ended up taking a little road trip down to Austria. So they missed it. But in Frankfurt, because you just take a road trip to Austria.
Yeah, that was 100% what I was like. Oh yeah. I mean, we wanted to go to the Book of Mormon project, but we decided to drive to Austria and said, anyway.
Now, can I just make a little aside, because I don't want anyone to think that, my husband also works for Delta. So that is his part-time job. So it enables us to be able to travel. So he could fly there for free. So anyhow.
Well, let me make a pause about that. If you have some sort of issue with people living their life however they live their life, that issue is on you. I bring it up in episodes because we got in trouble with this with your sister.
I know.
I bring it up in episodes because it's funny. Because it is a funny thing. It is for entertainment purposes that I will say things like, oh, I just had to drop by Austria. Oh, my husband and I just had to take a long weekend fishing in Alaska. Oh, my life is so tough. Because it's funny, not because I'm shaming anyone. If you have some sort of something about it, here's who the problem is. You, not the person leading their life. Go on.
That's right. That's right. So they had this huge book fair in Frankfurt. It was the largest trade fair for books in the world. They had about 230,000 attendees.
Oh my
And
God.
the church had a booth there where they had Books of Mormon or Book of Mormons. I'm not sure. Anyhow, they invited non-members to come in and read a page out of the Book of Mormon. And they asked them as they read to underline and mark any reference to God or Jesus Christ. And I thought that's actually really interesting and really cool because especially in Europe, the missionary work is really hard. It's really difficult. There's a lot of people are very stuck in their ways, and you've got the old church and Catholicism and whatnot. And people don't necessarily think of the Book of Mormon as being about Jesus or about God. And so allowing them to read and actually see that God and Jesus Christ are included in there was just a way to help them to acknowledge the truthfulness of the book and to be able to feel the Spirit as they read. And they had over 2,500 people participate and read a page out of the Book of Mormon. And I thought, what a cool missionary experience. And anyway, just kind of cool. And love it that it's in Germany, right by my daughter.
And out of the box. That's one of the things that I love about it. I've never heard of anything like this happening before. I don't know that something like this will happen again, but I think that's the huge strength that we have just as people, but also like as members of the church, whether it's a calling or it's a way to be able to spread the gospel, but like being able to go, hey, it's been done like this previously, but what could we do that might be a little bit different? Let's try and do this thing. Okay, great. Because it could have been a horrible disaster. They could have had 230,000 people gone right past their booth at the book fair and no one participated. But they went, yeah, you know what? This is not a super intrusive way of doing it. Come read a little bit, underline. Who
Love
knows?
it.
Who knows?
Yeah. Really cool. Really cool.
All right. Well, our time is just about up. So hopefully you know how this goes. You said you've listened, so you know how the end goes. I will say, we hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
And if you weren't well enough to be here this week, you'll be able to come next week.
Yep. And when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Rick McGee, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U will be saving a seat for you
on the back row of
the Cultural Hall.
Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We really gotta go on the Culture Hall show.